have four members.
Four for sure.
Okay. Have you heard from Sean?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't heard from Sean.
Okay. You did hear from Mary Ann.
Yeah, she was hoping she'd be able to join us tonight.
All right.
And Amy's here, right? Amy Sutherland?
Is Amy Sutherland here?
I am here.
Okay.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
All right.
Amy's incognito as Jeff.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So I think based on a couple of issues we've had in the last couple of meetings, I'm going to ask Jim. We're going to institute a new policy here, and the policy is that anyone representing an applicant or an applicant themselves who wishes to speak has to show themselves. It's very difficult to conduct meetings when all you see is blank screens and people are talking. So I think moving forward, as long as we're doing Zoom meetings, we're going to make that a requirement. So if there are any applicants' representatives there who are in a state of put on a shirt instead of your bathrobe. Otherwise, you won't have a chance to speak. All right, so a quorum being present, I'll call meeting of the Bellingham Conservation Commission to order for the evening of Wednesday, November 4th. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Board members will participate in the meeting remotely, as this meeting will be accessible to the public via Zoom online option. Information for attendance is available at the town website. And we'll proceed with the opening of the first public hearing. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold public hearing in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the notice of intent for the upgrade of an existing septic system to a Title V system located within the riverfront area at Assessor's Map 64, Lot 3, 988 South Main Street, Bellingham. Russ Waldron, Applied Ecological Services, Norfolk, Mass., has submitted the filing on behalf of Charles O'Brien, 988 South Main Street, Bellingham. The hearings will be held online via Zoom on Wednesday, November 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m.
Is someone here?
Is someone here representing the applicant?
You're gonna have to unmute.
Oh, we have somebody? Okay.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Ian. This is Jim Neva from Dun & McKenzie. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Jim?
It's Jim. Hi, how are you, Jim?
I'm doing okay. Chuck came to us asking us to upgrade his septic system. It failed. It was put in back in 2002, and it failed. So he came to us and asked us to upgrade it, and it's shown on the plan. We're gonna upgrade it to, try to keep it as far away as we can from the wetland. I guess it went to the Board of Health last night for approval. So.
Do you have access to the plan, Jim? Can you show us the plan?
Oh, I don't. I have it here. I don't know.
That's helpful. That's helpful. The commissioners did receive a copy by PDF. So
I wish I knew that.
I had asked Russ Waldron. He told me he couldn't come tonight. So I had asked if, whoever was going to be presenting, if they would have the capabilities of presenting the plan. But
I wish I did.
that's okay.
All right.
That's all right.
So here's what we'll do. This property is located directly across the street from the bus barn, the opposite side of the road.
You can probably hold that up.
I'm going to.
Okay.
So, failing system. It's a necessary repair. The administrator and I went to the site, inspected the site. There is a fence. I suspect the fence might have been a requirement back in 2002 when the last repair was done, but the fence is still in position. And the good news is that there's been no dumping over the fence, which is unusual. No grass clippings, no leaves. So the resource area hasn't been impacted. The plan did go out to the commission. So what I'll do is I'll put this up here and can anybody see that?
Yeah, it's a little hard.
It's too
Yeah.
difficult. Okay.
These meetings are really difficult.
Yeah.
I have it up on my screen now,
Do you?
looking at it.
From the email?
Yeah.
Can you share that with us?
Brian, do you know how to share a screen?
Haven't done it yet, no, but
Let me, I can walk you through it. So I'm just making you co-host now. So if you hit the green button that says share screen.
yeah, hold on a second.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there should be some options of whatever programs you have up right now, and you just want to hit the PDF of that plan that you have.
So when I hit the share screen, I should be getting an
Yep.
option. I gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
There you
There.
go. Excellent.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes. Okay. So we can see the north arrow at the top pointing to the right of the screen. The area is relatively flat. Jim, the
Yes.
homeowner told us that the soils would be removed and new material was going to be brought in.
Yes, we're gonna, if we look on the side, the edge, on the right edge of the plan, it's gonna be a removal of the A and B layer, so we can bring in septic sand, and then on top of that, once we finish the septic system, there's gonna be 9 inches of loom on top of that, and then it's going to be a grading so we can meet breakout, towards the west, towards the stream. But we have to remove the A and B layer. There's in any bad material that is with it, that is there. There's some junk material in there.
Okay. We saw the location where the sediment and erosion control is going to be.
It goes from
Yeah. I think we can see it. It's in magenta, but I was looking to see on the plan what was proposed for sediment erosion control.
I don't know if I called it out. I don't know what different towns like some like wattles, some like silt fence with hay bales, wattles, it's pretty easy to lay down,
Yeah, I think the wattles would be okay as long as they're staked close together so that, we don't have any erosion potential. But it's relatively flat there, so I would think that a wattle would work on that site, Jim.
Okay, all right. I can I can put that on the plan and resend it to you, stating what kind of erosion control that we're gonna use.
So I don't see it on there, but I think that as long as something's on there, so we're putting staked and entrenched silt fence in the order. We can deviate from that if it's better for the applicant. I just need to know once it's installed or what you're going to put in there. Just let me know, okay?
Okay.
She'll go and inspect it before the work starts.
Okay.
So if you want to make a change to wattles, it's flat. If they're staked, I think that will work.
Okay.
Yeah, we can work with you on that.
Right.
Yep.
Any questions from the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. You had mentioned at the beginning about the fence, that material was not thrown over. I don't see that fence on the plan.
It's way in the back, and it may not be on the plan.
It's just in front of that. It's just in front of that wetland line.
It's there might have been.
It's about 5 feet in from the resource area line.
Correct. I thought it was on there. I'm sorry.
Do we want to make sure that the maintenance of the continued presence and maintenance of a fence is in the order?
Sure, we can do that.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we talked to the homeowner. He's playing it. The repair is for him, and we told him we were very appreciative of the fact that he's treating that as a no disturb zone. So he's well aware of it, but we can put something specific in there.
the fence.
Well, I'm thinking, possible future, I mean, he may someday down the road decide to sell and.
Badges. What do you think?
It's a 4-foot chain link fence that goes from the left property line to the right property line. It's almost at well, I thought we showed it, but we didn't. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Okay.
It's in decent repair.
Yeah, it's in decent repair.
Yeah, I just, and not for this homeowner and his intentions, but, as we look down the road to possible future occupants.
Yep. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to put a couple of badges on it. What do you think? Okay. Are there any other questions? No comments? I will entertain a motion to close the hearing and sign and issue the order of conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. What we'll do is we'll add that condition, Neil, to the order.
Okay. And on the COC, when I do a COC, an 8A on that plan, I'll show the fence on that also.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
No, the certificate, when he goes for a certificate of compliance.
Oh, when
show
you
the
go
fence.
on this, when you apply for a certificate of compliance?
Right, I'll show the fence on the plan also.
Sure, sure, that'll be great. Now, where should this order be sent to, Jim? Should I send it to Russ?
Or you could send it to my office. Yeah, which is listed at the bottom of the plan,
Okay,
Okay,
yep, all right.
okay?
I'll send to Don McKenzie, okay.
And my email is also listed on the plan also, down at the bottom.
All right, terrific.
okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
you bet, you
Yep.
too.
All right, bye.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note of that. Well, we have other ones that need to get signed too, so we're gonna have to figure this out.
Okay. So moving ahead, we're gonna have some paperwork that's gonna need to be signed. So we'll have to talk about, how soon we can get that done. We don't like to hold up septic repairs.
So if it's easier for everyone, I can meet you on Saturday, or if any of you can come to my office, we can do it that way. We are expecting some revised plans in for Red Mill. I don't know that they've been delivered yet. They weren't when I left the office today. So I'll have to get those to you as well. So I don't know what works best for everybody. A Saturday morning or come into my office?
How late are you usually in the office?
Well, I'm usually there till around 2:30.
2:30? Okay.
Not on Saturday, weekdays.
Weekdays, yes.
So does it look like some people can make?
I can come by tomorrow, not Friday probably, because I think I have to go in the office Friday.
All right, so that works.
I could probably swing through Friday.
Okay, that would be 3 signatures. I know that Brian is out and about. I don't know about Mr. Vice Chairman.
I'll have to look at my schedule, possibly be able to get down during the week, but maybe Saturday morning too. I'll have to look.
Yeah, I may be Saturday morning, but if I could
Okay,
do it before then, I'll give you a call in.
That'd be excellent.
maybe I could prevail on that nice lady to bring some more candy.
Ooh.
Bribery, sweet bribery.
All right,
COVID-free candy. Hey, you're talking about why do it this Saturday instead of the 14th, because reminder, we are supposed to go out for a sidewalk.
That's right. It would be better to do it this Saturday to get these processed, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll swing by tomorrow morning, Ann.
Okay, terrific.
okay.
Mhm. This one.
All right, thank you. Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, on the notice of intent for the proposed grading, site work, and stormwater management system associated with a 103 lot residential subdivision entitled Bellingham Shores, including the construction of the subdivision roadway located within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands with proposed filling of 1,757 square feet of isolated vegetated wetland. The property is located at Assessor's Map 72, lots 13-1, 13-2, 14-0 through 14-7 and 14-16 at South Main Street and Cross Street, Bellingham. Scott Goddard, Goddard Consulting, in Northborough, Mass. has submitted the filing on behalf of Rick Terrell, Bellingham Residential Realty, Corey Drive, Milford. The continuations will be held at the Bellingham Municipal Center via Zoom on Wednesday, November 4th at 7:20. I saw Sean Malone here earlier.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
And okay. So we have Mark Arnold here as well. So I think at our last meeting, we had indicated we were going to begin the preparation of the order of conditions, and we have done that. Ian is in the process of compiling and identifying the appropriate documents, and she's going to ask for a complete plan set of all the current plans, rather than trying to take them out and put them,
Yes,
take the revisions. and
Updated plans.
Updated, thank you.
yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
jeez. Okay.
And also, if you could send that by PDF, that would be great. And so, Sean, also, I wanted to question the updated stormwater report. I think the last one I have was August 5th. And so I'm wondering if there were any changes to that. I know that we had worked on a couple of things maybe after that or around that time. And I wasn't sure if those were incorporated into that stormwater report.
Let me take a quick look here. I believe the last report was, where is this? Yeah.
August.
Going back in time, yes, August 2020. You are correct, Dan. That is the latest, and we had not made any changes to that report. I think we had just talked about some of the details of the stormwater basin berms, and I think Frank from BSC had offered some conditions about getting some more detail prior to construction, but that is the latest report.
Okay, so if you could get me a plan set, the revised plan set, most current, and a copy of that August report, that would be excellent.
Absolutely, no problem. Just one copy of each, hard copy and PDF?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay.
We're one of those rare groups that continues to keep hard copies. We found out that down the road, when there are questions, if data is corrupted, you pull out a plan and it's the real deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, I know many other towns that want a lot more paper copies for whatever reason. So I think, yeah, I think one makes a lot of sense.
Well, during the hearing process, I can understand that for distribution to members, but now that we're wrapping up here, you know, one final, that's, I think, all we're going to need.
Great.
The
Well,
other,
unless any of the
unless any of the members want a final copy of the Bellingham Shores project. I don't see anybody.
No, thank you.
I'm sure I don't, but thank you.
Seeing none and hearing none, one will
Surely not.
suffice.
They make lovely wall coverings.
Coloring for children.
Yes, yes.
You have a really big bird cage, they're handy too.
All right, so the other item, I think we had discussed at our last hearing, was getting a dollar amount for the annuity, because in addition to the planning board, the Conservation Commission makes it a special condition in the order of conditions, and we have a whole language that we use. In fact, we've been doing it as a policy for 25 years until one applicant decided, well, it's voluntary and I'm not going to do it. So since then, we've made it a requirement by town bylaw. So have you had an opportunity to speak with Don about that?
No, we're talking about the stormwater maintenance bond.
Correct.
Right, and you're right. You had specifically asked me to reach out to him, and I did not do that. I apologize. I will make sure that I do that this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And this one is for Mark. In reviewing the documentation and preparing the order, I noticed that there was no waiver request specifically for alterations in the 25 to 50-foot no build zone. You had requested a waiver for the 25-foot no disturb zone. And in the original filing, it was the request was made to look at the amount of open space that was being preserved in lieu of having to do the replication. Very early on in the hearing process, we said that we needed the replication 2-to-1, but no, I might have missed it, but I did not see that in there. I think it's the intention of the commission to accept.
Give me the waiver within 50 feet.
25 to 50.
25 to 50.
Right. The 25 to 50.
Is that for work? Is that for, I mean, we did one for work within 50 feet. So it's incorporates, I believe it incorporates the 0 to 25 and the 25 to 50 all in one. I mean, we can,
all right. So you put them together.
I think that's the way we kind of looked at it, was cumulative, because it didn't make sense to break them apart since both were being impacted. And this is, again, this is strictly for the IVW area.
That's correct. That's the only area that was being impacted.
Is that on the revised waiver? Or
It's in
was
the
that
original
original?
NOI.
I believe it's in, yeah, well, I'm looking at, we did a revised waiver on April 28th of 2020.
You did.
And in section 3, the alternatives analysis, we talk about the 50-foot buffer to the IVW.
Okay. Because what we do is, in addition to the order of conditions, because it's the local bylaw, we use one per, you've seen us do this before.
Yeah.
We look at the waiver requests, and then we look at, your ability to avoid, minimize, and mitigate, and then we issue the waiver. Or,
Yep.
and usually we issue the waiver because we've done all the homework prior to the issuance of the permit. In other words, if we had a problem, we would have hashed it out by now.
Yep.
And that's probably on me. I just missed that. So we will be working on the waivers, and I will take a look at that section.
Yeah, and we did submit a separate waiver request for the sidewalk as well. That
Yes,
was,
you did.
so just so that's also there. So if you need something more clearly, but I think the record does have sufficient documentation for the waiver requests.
Okay. And then there are a couple of planning board issues. I don't think we're really,
They can update us?
is there something, I know that what is affectionately being called the triangle piece now is, there's subject to some sort of a negotiation. Maybe you could give us a little update on where we are with that.
With respect to the triangle parcel?
Correct.
Yes, okay, so as you know, we had put together a conceptual, I believe anyways, a conceptual kind of landscaping reuse plan for that land. It included new tree plantings, some regrading, kind of creating more of a field area. And we submitted that. We got a cost estimate from Don DiMartino on that. And then Baffert had done some of its own estimating, gotten some local prices, and had a different number, probably about half of what DPW did. The DPW based it just on DOT bid price numbers.
Oh man, okay.
Numbers. So we just recently submitted that to Jim, what our estimate was, and we did state that we would be willing to provide that sum of money to the town for that land. We're still working out some of the wording and some of the other, I guess, conditions or mitigation items that the planning board is talking about. But as it stands right now, the applicant is prepared to provide money based on our estimate for that land.
Okay, so the only reason this is addressed to the commission, the only reason this would be concern us, obviously we seem to be, there was a consensus that the commission did not want to be responsible for owning the land because of the difficulties in policing. And we've seen in areas at Lakeview Estate where dumping's already occurring, we just didn't want to be spending a lot of time trying to educate people. So I think the agreement was that it's going to go to the town of Bellingham. And the only thing we're going to do on our order of conditions is to make the whole 100-foot buffer zone a no-build zone or a no-activity zone, because previously during the construction of the Lakeview Estates, sewer line was realigned and constructed without an amendment. And so there has been buffer zone restoration required, and we just want to make sure that those areas remain undisturbed. So I don't think it's going to affect what you're doing with the planning board. And I don't think, I think that's all the commission's concern is there. Does anybody else have anything to add to that, or?
No, makes sense.
Okay.
So the only thing that I'll do on our latest open space plan that we had, we indicated that land is going to the Conservation Commission. So I'll change that note as going to the town of Bellingham, but the rest of the open space minus the area that the town wants for the municipal stormwater basin will go to the commission.
Right. And then of course, there are no surprises. What we had agreed to at our last hearing was that once the limit of clearing's been established, then the baseline report will be developed, and then that will give commissioners in the future something to compare any potential alterations with.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
I don't think there's anything. Does anyone else have anything to request or any observations or any discussion relative to this?
We're not doing anything. I know during part of the discussion near the end, it was brought up because it was connected somehow to the Fafford project down by Silver Lake, that detention basin and the open space, so forth. But that was just a casual reference, right? That's not tied into this particular project for Bellingham Shores, is it? It came up somehow when we were having a hearing about Bellingham Shores, but it was that other part. And I remember somebody saying, well, they're both related to Fafford, but blah, blah, blah. And
there are two separate projects there.
Right.
That's the triangular piece.
The triangular piece.
We were just talking
When
about.
we were,
okay.
when the hearing first started, I remember talking to the applicant's representative relative to the fact that it was our impression that that was part of the open space for Lakeview Estates,
Right.
but it is a separate lot, and the Basin C, which is located there, is on an easement.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we didn't have, that wasn't made clear to us until a little later on in the process.
All right. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Did you want Jim to include?
Now, Jim, you know, we heard the applicants' representations. Do you have any idea? Your meeting on the 12th for this project?
Correct. Yeah, the planning board meets on the 12th. They are in a similar position as the Conservation Commission. I think they've exhausted their review for the most part. I've had some substantive conversations with Sean Malone and Jeff Roloffs, their attorney, regarding the final mitigation agreement that was discussed. So, we're working on the ins and outs of that right now. It is the planning board's hope that, we can come to our agreement and be able to move forward on next week, hopefully. So we'll see. It's in the ball's in their court.
I know Frank, our peer reviewer, is here. Frank, do you have any other final comments to add?
Nope, I think the stuff that was brought up in our reviews has been addressed. certainly we'll look at the final plans, but I think from what I've heard, everything's been addressed.
Okay, I think we made some substantial improvements to the project. I have a much higher level of comfort moving forward that, you know, people down the road aren't going to be cussing us out for what we permitted.
Yes.
Okay. We are, I think, I don't know if you folks are aware, the 11th is a holiday. That's why we're not meeting. That's why we're meeting tonight in a special meeting. The 18th is special town meeting. And
Is that going to be virtual?
What is it?
Is that going to be a virtual meeting?
No,
Town meeting?
no, it will be in the gymnasium, I understand, at the high school.
Yeah, unless
At this time, that's.
the
what's
numbers
going-
keep climbing.
Well, I was just going to say the governor's restrictions make it sound like, I think it's down to 10 now for indoors.
Yeah, legislative bodies are exempt from that, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, the people on the stage are okay, but everybody else in the audience shouldn't be there.
No, you're the legislative body. Town meeting, you're the voter.
Okay.
You just want to get us sick, man.
So again, our next meeting, and we do not meet the night before Thanksgiving, because even though in these times of COVID, we think it's important for everybody to be able to have a little.
You gotta cook that turkey.
Gotta cook that turkey. You don't want to be doing a meeting. So our next meeting's the 9th. I don't want to close the hearing tonight because we're still waiting for a couple small pieces of information. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't be prepared, provided there are no changes that come out of the planning board, and we get the plans for Ann and the number from Don, which we'll add to the permit. And we've got some of the special conditions already done. I will do the waiver requests with Ann. I think she's got the nuts and bolts of it pretty much prepared. The record was voluminous on this.
I'm sure.
And if you want to send me the list of documents that you've compiled for the record, just to let me double check, I'd be glad to look it over just to make sure that everything is there. Just as a double check, because I know there was a lot of information there. I'm glad to check just that list if you want to circulate just the list of documents. I'm not asking for the order, that's the list of documents.
I have something drafted up, but all the pertinent things that would be included. So yeah, I will certainly consider that. Thank you.
Okay, so, all right, so continuation time on the 9th, excuse me, we're looking at 8 o'clock. Okay, 8 o'clock.
Correct.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of December 9th at 8.
So
moved.
Second, third, fourth.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 By unanimous vote.
Great. Well, thank you very much, all, and have a good night. And Ann, I will get you that information as soon as I can.
Super. Thank you, Sean.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You as well.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Take care, Mark.
You know, Thanksgiving Eve hasn't been the same since they closed Mark Lochner's.
No.
Oh,
Do you want to talk?
What did they used to call that flattened chicken they specialized in? I only had a
roach.
Roach?
Roached chicken.
Roached,
Mhm. Yeah.
like a subject.
Yeah.
So, all right, one of the things that has come up for discussion on a couple of times here is meeting in December. Now, I know that 2 days before the 25th means more to some than others, but for people with families, And I'm thinking specifically about the person who moderates our meetings for us all the time. Meeting on the 23rd might be a welcome respite from conservation meetings. However, if the board thinks it might be willing to do so, we could have a meeting the week after the 9th, which would be the 16th. Rather than just one meeting for the month. You have some more stuff coming in, or?
I can fill it. I mean, I can put in a few. I have a lot of.
In other words, if we schedule it, they will come. So
it's up to you guys.
It's up to you guys because you're the ones that have to meet. And Jim has already expressed his joy and excitement to have to do another one of these meetings, but
The commute is killing me. I'll tell you, I don't know if I can handle 2 meetings in a week.
well, we just did back-to-backs.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's up to you guys.
It's up to
I
you.
don't know if you're available that night or not. We just
Yeah. What's the date again?
The 16th. So
16th. So
we
the
meet on
9th and the
December-
16th. Yeah.
Yeah, we meet on December 9th and possibly on December 16th in lieu of December 23rd.
If you have things to do, Madam Administrator, that would help facilitate by having a second meeting with all the hard work you do and Amy and your husband, I mean, Mr. Chair, we're happy, I think, to be able to show up to help you guys out.
Well, the idea would be to try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's what our intention would be if people could make it that night. I mean, you guys are the diehards, so you let us know.
Absolutely.
You don't have to feel bad if you can't make it. We just need a consensus.
Where else are we going to go?
I can make it.
Where else are we going to go?
Where else?
That's true.
Well, we could still be waiting for election returns.
I can do that now.
All right, so what we'll do is,
Okay,
so
okay.
Jim's willing to run the meeting for us. The consensus is that if necessary, we can schedule it. So what we'll do is we'll advise and we'll see what Ann's got coming down the pike in order to, you know, get some things off our plate, and we'll try to keep it as simple as possible. All right. Now, we have these celestial circle lots.
Do we have like 10
Yeah,
minutes?
we have 5 minutes.
Could we quickly talk about the certificate of compliance for Charles River Center?
Okay, Charles River Center. This is the Versalock wall repair, 300 feet on each side of the road, 40 feet high. Members of the commission, Mike, Brian, Neil, Cliff, and Ian attended the final inspection. The limits of vegetation were clearly marked. The trees that were partially responsible for some of the damage had been pollarded. The wetland replication had occurred. The site was clean and orderly. Additional precautions had been taken to prevent further erosion. I think, does anyone else have any observations?
They have a plan to start dealing with the beaver evidence.
Well, I don't have that information yet. They are investigating. They're working with the Army Corps. And the woman that we met on site, or Molly from WS Development, has already sent me the revised operation and maintenance plan and contact list. So she will be in touch with me as soon as they have any information on the beaver situation.
I didn't see any beavers, but we could see where they were chewing some of the vegetation there. So, you know, damming that up at that culvert could create some serious issues up upgradient because you know what's upgradient to that? The exit ramp for exit 18 on 495. So we have to be cognizant of potential impacts there. If there's no other questions or comments, then I'll entertain a motion to sign the prepared certificate of compliance and issue.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote, we'll put this in the stack of things to be signed.
Perfect.
We have another one?
No,
That's it?
well, these are just,
Well, yeah, there's some more things to be signed.
these are the next hearings.
Okay,
Okay. These are the-
so it's, we're 3 minutes early. I don't think anyone's gonna have any complaints.
Is the applicant here?
Is the applicant here? Is someone here from Gary and Hellman?
Yes, I am. How you doing, everyone?
Okay,
Yes.
there he is. Okay. Good. So the Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the notice of intent for the proposed grading and landscaping associated with the construction of a single-family dwelling located within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands in Assessor's Map 64, Block 212, Lot 76A, Lot 79A, Lot 80A, and Lot 81. John Federico, Gary and Howland, Milford, Mass. has submitted the filing on behalf of South Center Realty, Corey Drive, Milford. The continuations will be held via Zoom on the evening of November 4th, Wednesday, November 4th at 7:50. Okay. So, consistent with our last hearing, our administrator has prepared the orders of conditions for 16 Celestial Circle, Lot 76A. Oh, all right. John, would you share and put these up so that we can talk about each one individually so everybody's on the same page?
Is it 76, 79, and 80 that you would like to see up first, or is it just 81?
No, let's go right down the list. So we'll start with 76A.
Bear with me one moment here, just because I only thought we were going to be presenting for 81 with the other three being closed out. Let me just pull up those from my email real quick.
Okay, well, we didn't close them yet. We're gonna close those tonight.
We're going to close those tonight.
My apologies there.
Oh, it's okay. It's not a problem.
Bear with me one moment.
Yep.
What happened was we hadn't received the plan sets, so.
It sometimes gets a little unwieldy when we're doing blocks of 4 or 5.
I completely understand, and my apologies for not being slightly more prepared for that, but I do have those up right now.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'll be more than happy to go over. Do I have your permission to do a screen share?
Please.
I did try, oh, there it is. Okay, is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
We have it now.
All right, great. And if you could bear with me another moment here. So for 76, as mentioned, since we last had our meeting, I believe it was September, nothing's changed for this plan. We did make some updates to it for existing conditions to reflect the spoil pile that was found on lot 79. And then we did have an update for it at one point for the building footprint and then some minor grading activities there. I believe at this point, everything has been addressed for it. Is there anything in particular that you'd like me to touch upon for this lot?
I just wanted to mention to everyone that note that this is lot 76A. This is one of the revised lot lines that was approved by the zoning board just recently. Previously, it was known as lot 76. So just something that it's just one of those things that we have to make sure we had right in our documents.
And then if there are any questions for the revision on the lot lines, due to the building footprints we had, and then being able to meet setbacks for those, as well as 25-foot in between structures, we did make several adjustments in some areas of the site. Overall for phase 2, lot lines may have been adjusted by a few feet and increasing lot sizes or decreasing them by a few hundred square feet or so.
So we noticed there's no bioretention area on this particular lot.
That is correct, just due to the size and shape of the lot. But in terms of anything treatment-wise, we are going to be directing any sort of water from foundation drains. It would still outlet on our property, but would be directed towards the lot 79A bioretention area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We pretty much discussed this at the last hearing. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing for lot 76A and sign and issue the prepared order of conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. Lot 79A. This is the spoil pile lot.
All right, so for lot 79, here we have the plan here. As mentioned, we did have, sorry for losing my cursor here, the correction for the spoil pile on existing conditions located roughly in this area over here. As mentioned, lot 76's foundation drain would terminate here, directing everything towards this bioretention area. And as Ann had mentioned for lot 76, this was previously known as lot 79 due to a shift in the property line here. We did have that revised, and it was approved at ZBA to be now lot 79A.
Any questions? Okay, hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing for lot 79A and sign and issue the prepared order of conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
For lack of a,
Oh, it's okay.
that's a chance. Nobody's eager.
All in favor?
The glory of it all.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. And
All right.
lot 80.
Lot 80, we have right here. For lot 80, as a part of our last meeting, we did add in the typical retaining wall detail that we're going to be proposing. It is something that would be a boulder constructed wall, large boulders in this case, nothing small in size that would easily be able to fall down through erosion or any sort of back pressures there. We do have the ability to install a fence on the back side of that. That fence would be permitted through the building department and would be something that would pass any sort of building department regulations, such as not being able to pass a 4-inch or a 6-inch spear, so that people do not have any sort of issues falling over. In terms of the fence style, it could either be chain link proposed or something along the lines of a stockade fence. I believe that would either be up to the developer or the homeowner to make that sort of decision there. But then lower down below the wall on the back side of where our bioretention areas are, we will be proposing the post and rail fence as required, I believe, in one of the order of conditions for the overall site, if I'm not mistaken. In terms of this plan here, We did have at one point a building footprint update, but nothing substantial has changed outside of anything that's been seen by the commission. I also forgot to mention we did relocate the infiltration chambers for roof runoff to the lower portion of the site closer to the bioretention area, just so we don't have any sort of issues impacting the boulder retaining wall.
Right. Questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question.
Sure.
The wall, hypothetically down the road, since we are approving this plan as it's being viewed right now, correct? The entirety of what we're seeing on that paper there?
Yeah, are you, okay.
If the wall fails down the road, are we held liable anyway for approving a plan? If the homeowner decides to sue whoever approved this crazy wall that collapsed after a heavy rainstorm or something? I'm not saying it will, but if it did, where's the liability lie? Tell me the truth, don't lie.
I don't think we're liable.
It would be, we are acting on good information being provided by licensed engineers. I don't know if Frank is still around, but I think that the permit granting authority relies on expert testimony in order to make an informed decision. It would be the responsibility of either the contractor who didn't adhere to the specifications on the plan or the person who did the design. Considering that we are not PEs, we couldn't be held responsible for something like this.
Right, I didn't see, again, print's pretty small. I don't remember when I was reading the larger version of it, seeing anything that indicated this plan is stamped and approved by engineers for that particular design of that particular wall. It just appears on the plans there as a detail, and I didn't know if something else is implied. I see Frank is still there. I don't know if he had wanted to chime in. I saw his microphone on mute.
No, the plan's stamped.
Right, but I didn't see it on that particular page. Maybe it's on the, I could have missed it. Yeah, okay, down there. All right.
I mean, my experience, and I don't know all the conditions that you put a standard condition in your order of conditions, but I've seen many municipalities have a condition sort of upfront to the effect that we're relying upon the technical expertise of the material presented to us and the professional background to that. And I think that would, I know anyone can sue anyone else nowadays, so I'm not a lawyer, but I think that would cover the technical liability of anyone who was presenting this information.
Okay.
Then again, to a fight over the contractor and the engineer later on, but that's another whole story.
We've never used that kind of language. And the issue has, quite frankly, never come up.
Okay.
But it's not a bad idea with, knowing the legitness of today's society. I suppose it would be an extra layer of protection.
I'll take an example out from one of the projects I've worked on, if you want to see what one looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
My first thought was that this hardly ever happens. You're dealing with the wetlands or something like that. Somebody might fall into it, but nobody's going to sue you. We don't deal with a lot of structural stuff. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I realized underneath the warehouse, the drainage off of 140 that we approved recently, how much fill was put on top of that. We approved that plan. The Versalock wall we just signed off on at the plaza there and so on. So I guess we do get into some structural stuff where if we're signing off on plans, I understand there's an engineer stamp, but we're also signing off on it too, whether we are held in the chain of anybody can sue anybody, but whether we knew whether we're covered pretty well by the town or, somebody else.
We're covered by the town.
Just a question. Thanks.
Well, that's okay. And Frank is going to send us some language to consider for that.
Yep. Okay.
With that being said, are there any other questions on Lot 80? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing and sign and issue the prepared order of conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. So Lot 81, Finally
So
made it to line 81.
we did have a plan sent over to you, Ann, I believe, hard copy wise. And then I did see an acknowledgement email from you that you did at least receive the PDF copy of this.
I did, but when was the paper set, plan set sent over?
I believe it was sent over yesterday. If you did not receive that, though, I will definitely make sure that we have somebody deliver that before the end of the week.
It's probably floating around the municipal center somewhere.
Okay.
I'll take a look tomorrow. If I don't find it, I'll be in touch with you.
Okay, that'll be perfect. And then I'll definitely double check on my end with my admins to see exactly what happened with that as well.
Sure.
It wasn't put in a ballot envelope. It might not have been processed yet by the post office.
I don't think we have to worry about anything like that for this one.
Maybe it got burned in a box outside, a collection box.
Well, I would really hope not in that case. Overall, though, not to get into too much, everything did go over fairly well in this state, so I am very excited to hear all that and see all that happen. But with regards to this new plan, and since our last meeting, we did reach out to, or had our client reach out to Versalock for their retaining walls. We did receive this detail from them. And that would be for the portion of the wall greater than 4 feet running along this portion of the site, the eastern portion of the site. For this one here, as mentioned in the last meeting, the wall is currently shown about 1 foot off of the property line. And then we also did receive from Versalock a brief memo regarding the construction of the wall. And then I was informed as well that if there are any additional questions regarding that, or if you would need to see any sort of additional information, Versalock would be happy to supply that. We would just ask that any questions would be a little bit more on the specific side, just so we can make sure we are addressing those correctly for you. But I can pull up that memo in a second. Just to note a few other things for it, we did, again, relocate the infiltration chambers below the shorter 4-foot rock wall that we have, and then we still did show that detail on there for that as well. Are there any questions plan-wise before I switch over to the memo? And I can zoom in if anybody needs to see that a little bit closer.
So the distance, so the wall's running north to south, essentially.
Yes.
On the eastern property boundary. And so on the westerly side of the wall, the side closest to the foundation.
Yes.
We're looking at about 10 feet between that's 10 feet to the property line.
We're looking at approximately about 9.5 feet, 9.6 feet to the face of the wall.
All right, so, but between the foundation and the wall is what I'm looking at here.
In terms of the foundation to the wall,
yes,
we are looking closer to the, I would say, 8-foot mark.
Okay, 8 feet. Now, when I look at the details behind the wall, you know, we've got is there some sort of material that will be placed behind the wall, like filter fabric or?
In terms of the specific design for it, I currently only have the typical detail shown on the plan right now. We are working with Versalock structural engineer to have a plan produced. Again, that is something that would be stamped by that structural engineer and permitted and approved through the building department as well for it. From my understanding right now for the construction of the wall, and it is something that they do note in the memo as well, there is going to be a 2-foot footer that is installed approximately 2 feet below existing grade. And then from there, the wall would continue up in height with a slight batter. I believe it's 1 inch per block that's used out there, or it might be 1 inch per foot. Again, I have to check the actual plan for the specifications of that. Once that portion is constructed, material would be compacted and backfilled behind the wall, and then any geogrids, if needed for it, would be installed and have more material compacted on it. In terms of anything with regards to conflicts with the foundation, at least from any sort of initial discussions we had with Versalock, that is something that's not going to be a problem at all for it. And again, that is something that we will be pulling permits and everything for to ensure it is going to be constructed properly without any sort of potential failures.
So, yeah, what my concern is, you know, if GeoGrid is required to anchor and you've only got 8 feet, I'm not sure as the wall gains elevation, if there could be a potential conflict with the foundation. You know, Frank is still with us. I'm wondering if we could rely on his good graces to maybe comment on what if there could be any conflicts, along with the potential connection between the Versalock wall and the boulder wall. That might be a difficult thing to affect.
If I can, let me just talk about the Versalock wall. So that's the standard detail. I've used Versalock walls in other projects. This is not a design, but a standard rule of thumb, at least in my experience, is that as you go higher, the depth of the geogrid gets longer, and that's roughly about half the height. Obviously, the folks at Versalock will have to come back with that. So if I sort of look at the bottom of the wall and say it's a 1-inch batter per vertical foot, that's about a foot back. So the bottom of the wall is 1 foot back from the property line. The top of the wall is maybe 2 foot back. Again, these are just approximate type things. And again, I'm going to suggest that you refer to the actual Versalock design that is stamped for that. So the top of the wall then is about 9 feet. The front of the top of the wall, it's probably about 8 feet back from the outside edge of the foundation. If it's 10 feet, that grid is going to be back maybe 5 feet. So it's going to get very close, but I think it will be maybe a foot or two away from the foundation. Not a lot, but I don't think it's going to interfere. But really, and I think the question would be, you know, do the folks at Versalock know there's going to be a foundation this close to the retaining wall? That might be something you want to bring up to them when they finalize their design. I think it might just barely fit, but that's sort of the question I'd have.
Sorry to cut you off there, Frank. In terms of that portion, I do believe that our client has informed them of the foundation being close to the wall, but I will definitely make sure that on my end, I do inform them as well for that.
Okay.
I mean, this is again getting to your liability issue, but if in fact you had a stamped, signed plan by a structural engineer from Versalock, and we do this in our work all the time, that is something that you can rely upon. The other part of this is going to be ensuring it's properly installed. So you've got a backfill, you go up maybe 3 or 4 of the courses, and you put your geogrid in there and stuff like that. That's backfilled, and then you continue going up. So construction here is going to be an issue on that section of that Versalock wall.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. And so, okay. So we'll be continuing this and anxiously awaiting, you know, the engineering from Versalock. But the tie-in point between the boulder wall and the Versalock wall, that would be in the southeastern corner where the two walls come together. Okay.
That's apples and oranges right there.
It is. And so I'm wondering how you're going to affect the, you know, the merging of those two walls. You're going to have these massive boulders, and then you're going to have the Versalock, and the elevation at that point above grade. where they come together is,
It will be approximately about 4 feet if I'm recalling that correctly. I can zoom in here though in one moment.
no, I think that's probably right. I think that's what I saw on the plans. So I think that's a concern of ours.
So we have a 278 contour that runs right here.
Okay.
The top of this wall at this corner, right in here, will be about 290 or so. So we're only looking at about a 2 foot difference in elevation from existing grade to proposed there.
You said 290? 280, I think you mean.
Sorry, 280.
Okay, because that's 12 feet.
The top
So-
of, wait a minute, it says top of the wall is 290.
My apologies. So in this portion here, and I can have a drawing corrected to reflect it, the retaining wall for Versalock would either bend, come at an angle or something, or form a 90-degree point here to compensate for the grade difference there. My apologies for not having that reflected in the.
I guess the question I'd have then would be, I want to just make sure you've mentioned that the stone wall is going to be 4 foot high, no bigger than that, because that's the highest or the tallest wall you can do without a structural design. Are you going to then adjust the grade? Because if I'm looking at the grade and I see right into the area, it says lot 81 area, there's a 290 elevation. Will that stone wall then drop? Because right below that, as you head toward the Versalock wall, if you go in this would be the corner of that Versalock wall, there's like a 280 contour. So if that wall is 4 foot where the 280 contour, the stone wall hits the 280 contour, would that area drop to 284 for the grade?
In terms of this portion right through here, this was something, and my apologies for not having that corrected on the design. It would be the Versalock that would extend down this way as well. In terms of forming that point, it might either be at, like, say, a 45-degree angle, or depending on the Versalock walls, if they can go into a 90-degrey point, would be reflected as such. The intent would be for this whole yard area where this lot 81 call out is, that would be at a roughly flat area of approximately 290 to 291.5 where our walkout would be.
Gotcha. And so your stone wall would basically be no higher than 4 feet anywhere in that area. Where it was higher than 4 feet, it'd be tying in with a Versalock type wall.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So you can provide us with detail on that, please?
As far as that goes, I'm not sure of the status for the actual shop drawings or stamp drawings for the Versalock retaining wall, but I will inquire on that and can get those over to the commission as soon as they are available. And then also too, I will make sure that this plan here, just so there is no confusion, does have the Versalock shown going along the southwestern portion or south and then westerly portion of that site there to properly reflect everything on the plan.
Okay, and how far across the back is that going to extend?
The Versalock portion, it looks like it would be extending out to approximately middle of the lot or so, right where the highlight ends is where the 4 foot would terminate.
Okay, right at that existing contour?
Yes.
Okay.
So I still have a question. I haven't heard a definitive response to whoever had asked initially. How are you going to connect at the straight point or at the corner in the middle of the back wall there, the Versalock to boulders? So irregular shape to a rectangular or squarish edged, hard square edged shape.
In terms of that portion, I would have to inquire a little bit more with Versalock on if they have any sort of recommendations for it. If not, we would obviously talk to the contractor to see in his experience how that would work. I'm not sure at this moment if that would be something that might be partially poured concrete or how that would blend in, but we would make it work so that it wouldn't be any sort of failure point for the site.
This is a really nasty lot.
Yeah, that's not.
Oh, man.
That's a tough lot.
A lot of potential problems there, but anyway.
Well, there are a lot of potential problems. You know, if we look at we actually look at where the buffer zone is. It's, it's minimal activity in the buffer zone. But as a potential future owner of parcel B, it's incumbent upon us to make sure we're protecting that. But as I think Mike talked about earlier, we don't, even if we're not liable, we don't want to permit anything that would be subject to failure. So I think all the information we can gather from Versalock on this with their engineering recommendations is going to be crucial to making a decision on this lot. So obviously we're not gonna close this one tonight. Well, we may be able to continue this to the 9th of.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just want to also reiterate, that the potential for impact along the edge of the open space where the wall's being constructed, being that it's so tight, and they're talking about a 2-foot wide base for the wall, and the wall is only 1 foot away from the property line.
So with regards to that, and that's something that I can also share the memo as well if we would like to have that up on the screen. From the face of the wall, it only extends out for the footer 6 inches, and then 18 inches would be behind the face of the wall, with all construction occurring from the back side of the wall. So in theory, right now, we would be about 6 inches to where the property line would be. But again, though, if we did have to make an adjustment to pull that back a little bit, we can definitely work with Versalock in order to do so there.
Because there can't be, and there won't be any temporary work permitted, as far as I know, in the open space.
No,
so that silk fence line along that property is the line.
Yes, and again, we're not intending to do any sort of temporary work in that area. In terms of the footing portion, that would only be at depth of 2 feet below grade. That isn't something that would have any sort of that would, erode away and cause that to fall into the open space area. And in terms of anything on the back side of the wall, they would be constructing everything in a lift essentially. So they would, build up a certain height of the wall, install anything for a tie back, and then compact any sort of material, whether it's gravel or just soils, on the back side of the wall, and then continue to construct the wall up. So only really we would be having a 2-foot excavation that would run along existing grade. So nothing should again affect at that point the open space area.
I'd be very impressed if that actually works.
I mean, a question I have, and sorry for me butting in.
No, not at all.
So it's sort of a chicken or the egg question. Which gets built first? Does the Versalock wall get built, or does the foundation get built? And the reason why I'm asking is that if the foundation's in place, you've got a relatively small area to try to build that Versalock wall. I'm sure it could be done, but it'd be really tight. And it may be something you may want to bring up with Versalock. And then if you build the foundation, you're going to be excavating right next to the wall. And I got to think the excavation is going to go out a few feet from the wall, and that may impact the Versalock geofabric. So I'm sure it can be done, and maybe it's done concurrently or something like that, but just a question.
Understood. I will definitely make a note of that. And again, as far as some of the specifics for that portion of the construction, Versalock would be more than happy to take in any questions, and they can definitely expand on their memo in any way to answer those.
So John, is it Versalock who actually comes out and builds these things?
No, Versalock would be providing the drawings, but they do have some sort of construction methodology that would, I'm assuming, go along with those. It's not like they would just freely give a plan out to somebody and then just let you, run essentially with your head chopped off trying to figure out how to build this wall. But in terms of any questions, though, as mentioned, the gentleman from Versalock is more than happy to answer anything.
John, I appreciate that, and I understand Frank's question. I don't see how, I mean, I think the only way that this thing could be scheduled would to be construction of the Versalock wall first, then excavation and for the forms. And this is going to be a walkout, so it's going to be a formed concrete foundation. And, you know, when you're forming, you usually larger than the footprint in order to create the forms. And when you only have 8 feet, I think that Frank's concerns are justified. So I think that we need, you wanted some specificity with our questions. I think that's a very specific question. Once the wall's constructed, a foundation being constructed 8 feet away and formed, is that going to impact, you know, the geogrid or any sort of compacting, lifted fill? So, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd like, not that I have any concerns at all, he says with an entirely straight face, about the quality of the construction crews that may or may not be involved, that may or may not currently be on site and be delegated to doing the Versalock or the stone wall. But is it possible to make it a part of the order of conditions too, that until that is satisfactorily in detail described, the methodology, the timing and everything else, that this doesn't move forward prior to, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say prior to issuing an order of conditions? Because I wouldn't want to have it be a construction meeting on site, the contractor's ready to go, and he says, oh, I'm just gonna do blah, 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 and tries to steamroller it through. Not that you use a steamroller there, because that's obviously gonna cause problems, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that the way, no permit's gonna be issued until we get the engineering approved by the commission. I know it has to go to the building inspector, but you're right. This is the kind of work that would be done, would need to be done by a highly sophisticated construction crew. And I'm with you that I'm, based on what I've seen, you know, the ability to finesse this might be beyond the means. So that's something we have to take into consideration. But
I didn't want to delegate it just to the building inspector to be deciding if the methodology makes sense, because their concern and priority is not protecting the resource area off to the side. Theirs is make sure the construction is done by code or whatever. And I don't think they're going to be watching out for the interests that we're concerned about at the same time. So this is one of those areas where, yeah, we usually stay out of, I think, building permit plans and inspections and stuff like that process, but not when it's this close to the line.
Well, I think that's why we're requiring all of this additional supplemental information, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a cross section might be helpful, so that you sort of, you know, you put the property line and the open space, you put the silt fence or hay bales or whatever you're going to do, you put the 1 foot to the toe of the wall, you can show the 6 inches outside for the excavation, and maybe that's a 10 scale plan. So, I mean, you've sort of got that detail looking at, but it might be better to expand that. And then on the other side of that, have where the foundation's going to be and what might be for the footing for that foundation, just so you get a better idea how you can squeeze all the stuff together.
John, that makes some sense. And along with that, you know, any other materials that would be associated with the wall, any other, you know, the compacted areas, geofabric, whatever else is necessary to help secure the wall, that would be shown as well. Or is that what you were suggesting, Frank?
Yes, I mean, I think that, and that way there, Versalock's really good. And I think it'd be critical that they would need to understand that there's going to be something 8 or 10 feet away from their wall that they have to take a look at. And that cross section might be very helpful. maybe there's another way of anchoring things or something like that that can fit in that area.
In terms of any sort of cross-section, we definitely can provide that if needed for it. In terms of some of the specifics, though, that you might have been asking, like for instance, like block size or length of geogrid, again, that's not something that I have the means to be able to design there. I would have to do that in conjunction with Versalog's design. So in terms of being able to provide the commission with that sort of cross-section, it would either be extremely conceptual or we would have to wait until more information on the design comes in at that point.
I mean, I think, and I haven't seen your memo, but I think if Versalog looked at that cross section and said, yeah, we can build it, here's how we're going to do it, we'll get you a signed plan, that would give me some level of comfort. And again, I'm a little concerned if they put their geogrid in and then when they're building the foundation, they cut over 4 feet and wipe out some of that geogrid. That's going to be an issue for the stability of that wall. So again, I'd feel comfortable that if Versalog knew exactly what's going on there, and maybe they provide some performance standards saying, okay, I'm going to be facetious. You got to put sheeting in when you build your foundation, or you got to build the foundation at the same time so that as you're building each layer of the wall, you're building that part of the foundation so there's not an impact. Again, I don't know, and I don't want to say how you do that, but I'm sure they can figure something out.
And I'm in the same boat as you, Frank, on that one there. I don't want to try to offer something and kind of speculate on how that construction or that sort of detail might work there. But again, I can take in all this information and definitely relay it over to the client, as well as Versalog to get some more answers for everyone.
Okay. If there's no additional questions, I'll ask John one more thing. Do you have any idea what the turnaround time might be for this information?
In terms of that, I have not been informed of anything just yet. So I unfortunately do not have that at this time.
Okay, so because we're meeting on the 9th, do you think it's possible that in 1 month's time?
I think that could be possible. I'm not sure of any sort of timeframes on a structural engineer that works with Versalog on those sort of things. I would ask if we could be tentatively put on for that or put on for it. And if we don't have that information, say like a week or two prior to the meeting, we can get in touch with Ann to continue at that point to buy us some more time there. I just necessarily wouldn't want to have this sitting for longer than it would have if we are able to get that information, say, in the next week or two.
Okay.
Again, not speculating on when that could happen, but I will definitely be inquiring tomorrow and everything.
All right. I think that's, I think that's an acceptable way to proceed.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that.
Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing to the evening of December 9th at 8:15.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so John, you will communicate with Ann. And the information will be forwarded to the commission as we receive it.
Yes, it will. And I will definitely try to see what I can do on my end to get anything expedited. In terms of the plan, since I will be having to make a revision for the Versalog retaining wall portion along where our former boulder wall was, and I wouldn't go crazy or anything trying to look for it. Once I do have that information, though, I will make sure that a new PDF gets back over to the commission, as well as any sort of hard copies that you may need.
Excellent, thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. I do appreciate your time tonight.
Okay. Okay, this is for you.
Okay. No.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, so we have a couple of things.
So we have a couple more items we can talk about. We did speak about the items that have to be signed. We really appreciate you guys going out of your way to help keep these permits flowing. It's one thing just to hold the hearings, but it's the other part of the permitting process that kind of goes unnoticed, getting all those signatures. So we have a couple of minutes that were prepared for review, the 23rd and the 14th. I'm going to ask Mike on this one because he's our minute maven.
The 14th, I only saw one little thing. It's not a really big little typo, 2 letters switched, no big deal. Page 2, 6th line down, a recommendation was made to add visual photos. Form a drone, I think you want from, no biggie. That's the only thing I spotted on that one.
Okay.
Good job, Mike.
Good
Thank
form.
you.
Good
Thanks for doing
form, Mike.
Good form. Nice. The 23rd one, I'm trying to see, I don't think I spotted. There was something, hang on, look for my highlight on it. I'm scrolling it. Something with candlelight, I think. Oh, two spellings, one page 4 and one page, beginning page 5. Stallbrook, isn't it? Capital B? I noticed it popped up as a highlighted, so that caught my eye. Otherwise, I wouldn't even thought about the
I think
flooding.
it's one word, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it one word with a capital B though? Isn't
Well,
it
if
weird?
you're talking about Stallbrook, two
The
separate words.
school?
But Stallbrook School, I think is, I don't know.
Oh, I mean, it's simple enough. I'm sure the town website has it, so it wasn't a big deal. I only saw it because I only caught my eye because it was highlighted in red on mine when I called it up. I don't know if Word did that for everybody or just me. And then I don't really care about this next one, but I'll mention it just for consistency. Top of page, the next page, the first line, we have Mr. Seth LaJoy's name spelled two different ways in the representative section above there, and the first line of the detail, and then the next line is Mr. So I think he has an E, doesn't he? Or it looks better with the E at the end.
I can double check and fix that. No issue. That's
I
easy.
don't really care. I remember Seth designed my house, sort of. Not really. And yeah, so otherwise, I think it looks really good. Thank you very much, Amy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for reading them.
It keeps me awake at night.
You know, the minutes are really, really important.
They are.
And because under appeal, the first line of defense for a conservation commission are its minutes. So they are the record of the occurrences. So, you know, paying attention and taking the time to do it correctly is paramount. So thank you all. So we have a site walk coming up on the 14th.
You want to approve the minutes?
Oh, thank you. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of September 23rd and October 14th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, by unanimous vote. So we're meeting at Celestial Circle in Lover's Lane on the Fafford site at 8:30. And then we're going to go over to, we added the one that we took a look at the chicken coops,
Hartford Village.
Hartford Village. So Ann and I were looking at she dug out the approved plans, the plans of record, and we compared it to the as-built plan, and there were some variations. So she contacted the engineering group, Andrews Engineering and Survey in Uxbridge. We noticed that the basin elevation was higher by 1 foot, and the basin shape had changed. So we may need to make sure that the storage capacity is similar. Also, the emergency overflow outlets one was missing, others were not quite configured the same. So she's requested that, you know, the engineering group attest that everything's going to perform in accordance with the approved stormwater management, drainage calculations, then it's going to function as designed with those changes. Now, technically,
Do we know why they didn't build what they were supposed to?
well, we're going to ask. Now,
I mean,
the way the order,
We could have them rip it out and start over again.
I suppose, or modify it to conform to what was permitted. Right in the order of conditions, it says any change made must be brought to the commission to see if the change is insignificant, no action is required. The change is can be handled by an amendment, or a new notice of intent has to be filed. They just made the changes in the field. So
Rip it out, start over.
We'll see what the response is.
yeah, we'll see what they come back with.
Yeah.
I don't really make him squawk. Was that guy that came up to us rudely with no mask on, was he with Andrews?
Yes.
But how did they know we were going to go out there?
Because I told them.
Oh, okay. Right.
Tea leaves.
Yeah. I was just thinking maybe one of the neighbors who were spying on us and came out and questioned Cliff, gave him the third degree, like, what are you guys doing with the plans there? You know?
Yeah, they
we weren't tearing down their buildings.
What we've heard is that some of the people who live there are a little unhappy with the developer. So yeah, we're not surprised.
That happens everywhere, by the way.
It does. It does.
You would know.
Yeah.
I would know.
Okay, I think we're all set. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And what time do you want me to stop by?
Let's see. Give me a little bit of time. 9:30, 10, something like
Fine.
that.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Very good. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike.
And I'll
Thank
be
you,
in
Jim.
touch.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. We really
Stay sane.
appreciate it.
Stay sane. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good